The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast are those of the host/guest and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any of BXR entities and those they represent.
All righty, welcome to Talk Lately. It's been, I don't know how long since I've actually done my own show, and there is a reason, because I actually lost a little bit of passion for delivering stories the way, but it slowly came back to me. You know, through the pandemic, a whole lot of things had changed for most of the world, and today I feel like I have my passion back. So today I'm joined with a special guest, a new participant that's coming to Be Exposed Radio with her own show in a few weeks. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce and bring on my special co-host today, and her name is ChasReal, with Chastity to me. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I mute your mic so you can talk.
Hey, Monny.
Hey. So we've been chatting for a long time. It's not like she was, you know, she just joined us. I mean, we've been actually on the phone for probably a good 45 minutes talking about different things and carrying on. But we got a good show that we're going to talk about a whole bunch of different people and things that I wish I actually had a list. We got some Dave Chappelle. We got some Amber Heard, Rihanna. If we had time, we might get to Nicki Minaj, Nipsey Hussle. But I wanted to start off with this conversation that we were having right before we got the show started tonight. And that was in relation to the 4th of July. More so on freedom. And I had a question that I was thinking about all through the banging and the booming and the pows of the 4th of July, because it was like going on all day long, to the point where I had my door open at first. My front door open, you know, keeping the breeze and all that kind of stuff. And then it started pow, 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 and I closed the door because I wanted to watch TV. I don't feel 100% American these days. And it's and partly because of the freedoms that have been taken away from, particularly you as a female, and then the one that should be taken away hasn't been. Like, you here's the double standard, right? They want to force you to bring life, but they refuse to take away the items that take lives, meaning guns.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense. More people die by the gun than they do from, well, I don't know, but I don't have that statistic in front, the statistics on abortion in front of me. But I wanted to say more people die from a gun than they do from abortion, meaning the lifeless baby. But I'm not a female, so I'm still going to argue the issue because I have an opinion, and my opinion is such: if this is supposedly the land of the free, regardless of how you feel your religious, whatever, because religion is supposed to be outside of what we do for our freedoms here, right? Because you have the freedom to religion, that's in the Constitution, and you also have the freedom to be free. And and I'm particularly talking about this Roe versus Wade abortion, recall or whatever you want to call it. I call it's bullshit because it should have never been up for discussion. Just like I said, I still haven't found a constitutional attorney, which I want to ask Barack Obama, because that's what he was. He was a constitutional attorney. I want to ask Barack Obama, my president, what's the constitutionality of behind when you were being confirmed as a Supreme Court justice, and in front of everyone, you took an oath that you would not lie, and then proceeded to say that you would not turn over Roe versus Wade because it's already precedent law. Like the precedent has been set twice. It was in two cases: the original case where the precedent was set, and then the 1970, I think it was either 1973 or 1981 case that stapled it in as law, right? And then now here we are today, where they now have overturned what they had preceded in the past to say that it's already a precedent and that they weren't going to touch that precedent. And actually, the three recent justices actually are the ones that I'm really kind of a little bit peeved with, because they are the ones that actually sat through these hearings and was asked these questions most recently about whether they would overturn Roe v. Wade. And they all said no, because it's already precedence. It's already a precedent that has been set that we will not touch that law. And then they did it anyway. So why is that not grounds for termination? You see what I'm saying? Why is that not grounds for you being removed from the Supreme Court? You committed perjury to me. You lied. You lied to get a seat on the Supreme Court with this, because you knew that if you would have said no, I'm going to overturn Roe v. Wade, you never would have made it to the Supreme Court. I understand that one thing I don't believe is that if we got terms for everybody else, why is it that there is no terms for the Supreme Court? I need term limits.
That part.
Because this is now getting out of control, that we have to now suffer. Not just that we have to suffer from this, but these people now serve on the majority of the court, and their plans are to change other things. Gay rights, gay marriage.
And that's what's scary for me.
I laugh at, I laugh at the fact
that they can just change things in that Constitution anytime they feel like it. I agree, Monny. That's the scary part.
It's very scary, and it's beyond me that Clarence Thomas is the one that's championed this the most. He keeps saying that he's going to go after more stuff, but the one thing he did not go after is interracial marriage, because he's working for a white woman. So I say, if the other justices on the court don't bring that up for question, then I know it would be a double standard, a double-edged sword for us, as a liberal, to bring that up, seeing it as though, but it's still rightfully so. If you're going to go back and undo all of the progress that we have done for the past 60, 70 years, and take us back in the wrong direction, then everything's up for grab. You now have to divorce or be, your marriage is nullified because you married that white woman. Fair is fair.
Fair is fair.
The other question I had in relation to this freedom question, I just want to know how many of you out there feel free? Do you feel free? What is freedom to you? Because it's not freedom to make your own choices, because that's not the freedom that you're getting.
Well, to me, like I said, in America, it's just America is so hypocritical. And when you think of the word free, and if you really look up the definition, it's like our freedom and our liberties are always in jeopardy. Especially with this recent thing that you touched on with Roe versus Wade, and them being able to go back, like who, like how you said, it's perjury. Who allows that but America? And something so precedent as like a woman and her rights. I know everybody have different thoughts on abortion or whatever. It's like, if you want to have one, do you? If not, then that's your right too. And that's where I stand on that. I just don't think that someone else should be allowed to tell you what your decision should be and interfere with that. And then with all the other just poor systems that we have here in America with the health care and all things like that, it's going to be a mess. I mean, even though it's like in certain states or whatever that they're still going to, have it legalized and still want to help, like, but people are going to definitely be getting botched abortions. People are definitely going to be trying to do that thing on their own. But yeah, free? Nah, not at all. I feel that we are free to be held accountable for the laws that we don't follow, which but and free to be us versus the courts in America. But yeah, it's scary. It's scary in the day and time, especially if they recanted that. What else can they recant? With all of these things going on with voter rights, with the racism in America, what else can they recant? Can they decide that slavery is legal tomorrow?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Can they decide that you don't have the right to your day in court tomorrow? Like, it's really scary. It's really scary. And I just feel like, and how you were saying, like, the terms as far as in the Supreme Court and everything else like that, them judges get taught, they get pressured. I mean, yes, they hold a high standard, but guess what? They are people. And to me, it's always politics over people. And my whole thing is, once you get into that system, regardless of what you do say on your biases or whatever else like that, but once you're in that environment, I think in any type of system, you kind of adapt. You know what I mean? With their beliefs are, everybody, it's just a mess. It's just a mess. I'm trying to get it out, but I'm at a loss for all these other things going on in the country. Really? Y'all worrying about if a lady has a right to, well, basically trying to strip that right. That's not living. That's not living.
One of the other things that I was discussing with Chaz, I'm going to keep calling you Chaz.
Listen, I could be Chastity, but y'all know the deal. ChasReal, the Empress, Lady Cake Mix. I told Money he hasn't talked to me lately. But I'm Chastity, and everybody know that I am Chastity. That is my American government name. Since we're talking about that.
So the other thing we were talking about before the show started was fireworks.
Works my nerves.
The fact that the premise behind the fireworks was so you could get the feeling of how it felt when the bombs was bursting in air during a war.
And the rockets were glare.
And here I am sitting in my living room on the 4th, trying to watch TV. It wasn't about that part, but I find myself thinking about why we celebrate a holiday wanting to hear war sounds.
Because that's essentially what it's geared to replicate.
Yeah, especially when isn't it kind of insensitive to be doing that too when the Ukraine is going through what it's going through, and that is what they're hearing every single day. And here you are, real selfishly, over here celebrating your independence while they're getting destroyed and killed over there in the Ukraine, right at this moment.
Not to mention, all us wasn't free. So we wasn't only at that time when they decided to make this July 4th a national holiday of independence. It wasn't only the bombs bursting in the air and the rockets were glare, but it was also still those whips cracking on my ancestors. So I when was that? 1774. I can imagine it wasn't celebratory to them, but for the life of me, right? Who celebrates war? Who celebrates that but here in America?
No, that's us. But you're absolutely right, because that's not the independence they were talking about. The independence is what they were saying. They was independent from the British.
Right.
That wasn't the absolving of slavery at all.
Okay.
This independence.
That's exactly what it's about. Well, me, them fireworks were my nerves. I don't know if it's because I'm getting older or what's going on. But honey, I was ducking and jumping and everything else. And it may have a lot to do with me living in Baltimore City and just kind of feeling like shell shock. I remember
because I think everywhere they should have, probably tried to enforce that cancellation should have went down anyway, just in light of what happened in Illinois. People getting shot from that mass shooting that happened. I mean, it's not unlikely that it would happen anymore because mass shootings seem to happen in this country every week. But a lot of cities had canceled their demonstrations in light of that because of what happened in Illinois on the 4th of July.
Yeah.
And I understood that, but not here. And we already nervous when you hear bangs outside in Baltimore that it might be a gunshot. And now here we go, these fire dam works. I have to say that I'm not against fireworks. I am against fireworks when it comes to insensitivity. And
not to mention, like how you say, the people returning from war, our veterans with PTSD. Like I said, alone, I've never been in war.
And then we got to say we're doing this in honor of them. Demonstrating war sounds as an honor to your troops. I don't know if that works out for me.
Yeah.
Large banging noises in honor of your troops. Haven't they heard that enough? They the ones that went to war. I don't think they want to come back and see a representation of that in the streets.
Not at all.
That's just kind of insensitive, right? I sat back and I thought about that wholeheartedly, like trying to figure out, why do we do this?
Right.
And then we try to make it a spectator sport. Like it's supposed to be so spectacular to see these fireworks going off in the air when those could be missiles headed to your home.
Right.
You see the fireworks shoot up.
And I bet you if we could go back in time.
Bombs didn't burst in the sky, they bursted in your house.
Okay. On your land, right in front of you.
And the only thing you saw was the entrails of that bomb before it hit your home. That's what a firework represents.
Yes.
It represents the war sound, the sounds of war.
That smell. Everything.
Right. The fire that was bursting all over the place from the explosion from the bombs that hit your home back in a wartime. Now, that's why it seems very insensitive, because that's a representation of war, and the Ukraine is suffering from this right now at the hands of Russia.
Right. But just to have it as a form of a way of celebratory, you wouldn't think that it was a way to celebrate. I'm not totally against fireworks either, but like how you say, it is a bit insensitive. And when we think about
high ground on anything like that as a U.S. citizen makes no sense to me. Do you have the moral high ground? No. because you do immoral things that actually pulls that rug from under your feet. It's a vicious cycle that we are never going to.
Yeah. Oh, and here in America, it's okay for us, but not for them.
That's exactly how we are seen throughout the world. That it's okay for us and not for them.
And not for them. And not for them. And when other lands go into war, here we are over there. Oh, this is wrong. This isn't right.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about when I said this freedom thing. How do you feel free when every time you turn around something is being taken from you as far as a right?
How
think
do you
about
feel
that?
free?
You know, comment along. Our phone lines are open, 443-642-9403. Give us a call.
And
Let's talk to you. You can talk
to
to us. You can talk about whatever. So Dave Chappelle, I'm with him on this, by the way. He stopped the housing project in Ohio, in his hometown of Yellow Springs, Ohio, where they were trying to build not necessarily low-income housing, but they were trying to build a housing development which was going to represent 140 homes.
That low income.
Dave Chappelle swooped in and purchased the 52-acre land. What they're calling it, so here's what it says. Per the Daily Mail, Chappelle dipped into his own pockets to buy the full 52 acres in land in his community where a $140 development was being planned, much like when residents put up signs in their front yard supporting a favorite local political signs popping up read, "Thanks, Dave." So the community was supporting this decision for him to stop this development from being in process, because typically when you build, like I was telling you right before the show, typically when they were building these properties, they say that a portion of a development will be for low-income housing, but the rest of it will be high-end. Just a portion. And you know what it reminds me of? What they do at Perkins Homes. When they rebuild Perkins Homes, whatever they're going to call them after that, a portion of it will be allowing the people that lived there prior to come back.
Yes.
To live in the new development that they're building.
Yes. It's like
but not all of them.
Yes, it's like an extension here. Right. For the development here, it was a project called
The Life of Gentrification.
Well, it was a project here called the Hope 6, where they were going to do that for all the developments. The one over here, Murphy Homes, Lexington Terrace. They did quite a few. It's one up off of the avenue. I don't think that it was a public housing before, but that was the idea of it and how they started it, the affordable housing, which absolutely correct. When they build these developments, only a portion goes to the low-income community. And may I say, it's a ton of stipulations placed on it to push them out. To push them out. So it sounds good in all hindsight, but it's not. If a person isn't coming back and they are able, because people are used to, especially living in public housing, not paying like gas and electric, water bills and different things of that nature. But when they build these developments and they come back, that stipulations, I don't know, you pay gas and electric, you pay the water bill, everything. Right. And people just are not financially set up like that. So to my understanding, for Dave Chappelle in doing this, I know they were thinking about building on 19 acres, but that millionaire said,
the rest of it would have been like parkland.
Right. I'm gonna take all of it.
So the houses would have took up 19. It's still been 52 acres, but the rest of it would have been like trees and stuff like that. The roads that lead inside. So a lot of it would have been like backyards and stuff like that.
Right.
But it's still 52 acres. It's 19 of it would have been the development part.
Right. And he bought it all.
He bought it all to stop the whole entire project. I don't know how much that's to say the price that he paid, but I'm sure it was steep. And maybe he might still build the development, But my point is if you and your community is happy with the status quo, meaning your small town boutique
Yeah, because it's like a village,
situation,
right?
and you don't want no more, you don't need, and it's not a need to infuse your community with, more, more people, more expenses, more revenue, more whatever. Then why mess with something that's broke? Like in his town, I do believe everybody knows everybody's name.
Right, because it's like a little village,
place,
right? It's
for
not
some
like
reason I would that sense of community. Yeah, that sense of community must be everything.
right.
Then you probably could go knock on Dave's door and be like, oh, call Dave, the roads, they're breaking up, something's wrong. And he'd probably be like, well, here, let me write the city a check and we'll get those roads fixed. That small town community essence, it's a bygone era, because I don't know none of these bitches around here. But and it's not beyond me that I don't want no.
Okay.
But because when you invite a whole bunch of people in your life, especially here in Baltimore, it just spells catastrophe. So I try to keep clean from that. And it gets messy. And I hope that what he's doing is continues to be in the interest of the people of that community. They're apparently behind him. Like I said in the beginning, they put up signs in their front yard that says, "Thanks, Dave." So they wanted this. They wanted this not to happen.
Right.
So here's one of the village manager. His name is, I don't know how to say this, Josu Salmaron. He goes in to say, "I'm unhappy on several fronts that the project isn't going ahead. We have housing goals that we have been trying to meet for years. There's a national housing crisis problem with the affordability challenge, and in Yellow Springs is even greater." So apparently there is a problem that he's saying that needs to be addressed. But Dave's publicist, Carla Sims, came back and said to him, basically, the houses they were going to build were not affordable to the people who live in the village, in their community. It was going to attract interlopers. Dave was trying to make sure that the people that live in Yellow Springs can stay and afford to live in Yellow Springs. This development was not going to do that.
Right.
And so that's why.
And in my opinion, I think just to put that.
You weren't going to help the people that live there.
Right. And I think just to put that on there as far as like affordable housing or whatever, I think that may have been their way of trying to push it when you say that, because everybody want to be, I guess, be fair to people that's low income and understanding different people are different in financial and income brackets. But the reality is that that's not always the case. So the way that it's looked like, as if Dave was trying to stop people who, typically couldn't afford to live in these areas to be able to have access to that community and live in the houses. But just like I say, myself, a person here in Baltimore coming up in housing authority of Baltimore City and public housing, I agree with him. I mean, bless him that he had the finances to be able to do it. I mean, like you said, if it's not broke, why fix it? And then to my understanding, this place is like a village. It's their culture to be neighborly. Everybody knows everybody. Everybody's not into this development stuff, because as soon as they start digging to bring these so-called affordable houses for the affordable housing, then what's next? What's next? Because the reality is when they build developments like that, and he made one point, through his publicist, is that it's not fair to, I guess, you build the houses and bring people into these houses, but then realistically, people can't afford to stay there.
Exactly.
They can't afford to stay there. So I don't know the whole setup of the village, as far as like the employment and everything else like that, but what I'm hearing and what I got from you is that he attended all the meetings.
Oh yeah, he was present.
So this wasn't just a decision like, oh, go spread people and
I'm not going to allow you to build in my backyard or nothing like that. It wasn't one of those.
He went and he was attentive to what was going on in his community. things that a lot of us don't do enough. And thank goodness, I mean, he was able to stop it, and he ain't want no bad. He said, "Okay, y'all gonna build on 19. The whole land is 50 plus. I want all of it.
Mm-hmm.
I want all of it. I want all of it." And I know a lot of times, like I said,
so true.
To make something sound good, they put that on there. Oh, this is for low income, for housing that can be affordable for everybody and everything else like that. But all of them houses that we're going to build were not going to be for the low income community.
No.
And if it was 50 houses, probably a good 10 would have been for that population. And then they would have stuck out. Because then, like I said, they put stipulations on it. They can't do this to the home. They can't do that to the home. It still is like a disconnect. So even while they're saying that they try to bring in mixed income community and you mix those people, it'd be a mess. It'd be a mess. So kudos to Dave. That's how I feel about it. That's how I feel about it. If I had just like my housing projects that got knocked that down here, Broadway Homes, you know, everybody from East Baltimore, we call that Chapel Hill. But there wasn't nothing wrong with those houses. Those houses could have been revamped. We were good over there. But guess who wanted it? John Hopkins. Because they had development. So it wasn't about the people. And yes, y'all did build housing over on Church Square. But how many people are over there that y'all allowed to come back? Ask that question. Half of that population, like I said, they strategically put so many stipulations, so many house rules on things. And they get them people up out of there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
they get them up out of there. They get them up out of there.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do.
Straight up. So, I mean, people may look at it like that, like I said on Dave, because I guess the way they putting it out there, like, oh, it's for low income. It was affordable housing. Everyone has the right. But that wasn't it. And I'm pretty sure that whatever that man heard, because he's a businessman, going into those meetings, it had to be something when he was like, oh, no. I have to stop this. And I don't think that it was anything particularly against low income people and not wanting them in the community and everything else like that. I think it was more so about the development in it. He's seen through the cracks and what we see. And, you know, we're not financially able, like here, as far as how they did that development whole 6, the pushback. You know, he's seen all of that. It brings everything. So you building those houses, his traffic, his roads, his streets, his property, work. And when he made that decision, he ain't only do it for himself. He did it for the whole village.
Exactly.
He did it for the village. It wasn't anything like you said. They got signs. Thank you.
Because they seen because say what you want about making, you know, affordable housing and all that kind of stuff. But if they were not used to having to deal with a whole bunch of affordable housing per se, a development that is not suitable for that particular community could bring in a whole bunch of new issues.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we always see it here, especially here in Baltimore. Like I said, why we are not so close knit now is because when you bring in a whole bunch of development and then bring people from all around and mix them into a big pot, crime starts.
Yeah.
Drug addiction starts.
Yeah.
Evictions start. Everything starts to get messed up. You start to destroy the properties. I mean, I'm not saying that's not a thing that everybody does, but it happens.
It does. It
like
does.
The Latrobe ain't always look like the Latrobe.
No.
I like to use that one as an example because they don't have no balconies and I could never do it.
Okay. Yes, I agree. And then also me living on a Hope 6 development, I live over on the property where it used to be Murphy Homes, I tell you. So to me, it doesn't always have stuff to do with low income and everything else like that, because even the homeowners, shoot, I'll get a citation or something before they do. My grass be cut, my trash be out there correctly. But you know, some homeowners, they feel like, this is my property and everything else like that. But let me let me have something on there. Or I'll get a letter fast from the homeowners association. And then they have it set up where they say, oh, they don't know that you're in affordable housing. That's BS. Mm-hmm. Because like I said, there's so many restrictions. I can't do stuff to my home when they come to renovate, faucets that are outside. They know around here, everybody who don't have a screen door on their front door is the low income, like straight up. It's so many stipulations. So they say they want us to be mixed, but then they bring us through on these developments and they still mixing up. And I can't count a handful of families that when they first brought this development about, even the one that I was talking about over East Baltimore, where John Hopkins did all of their building on, and they wound up moving the houses over to church, on the church home site. But that property right there, that was one of the best of all of the housing authority. But it was the politics of it. John Hopkins wanted it. Just like they pushed all them people out, even behind that Madison Street, going up to the hill and everything else like that. That's why it's nothing but boarded up homes. Mm-hmm. But they building on it, their businesses, their stores, their houses. And it's not for the people. Mm. It's not for the people. Well, the people they originally said it was for, to include. It definitely excludes you.
What they were doing, they were going to bring some of those houses back for the people that already were present in the community.
Yeah, and they do. But just like I said, there's so many stipulations and so many rules that it is fixed up to get them out of there. Soon as you do one wrong thing, they still expecting the homes inspections 2-3 times a year. Is intrusive. They want you to live in a house like it's a magazine. Like it's a magazine. And God forbid you have somebody in a rental office that's bad energy and they come and your house is nice together. It's just a whole stipulation on it altogether. So they come, baby, you can have a nice couch and a nice table and they looking like
it's not nice enough.
Why it's so nice?
Why is it so nice?
Why is it so nice? Okay. I swear they used to say that it's for the inspections, it's choose randomly, but they was coming to my house every year. I said, I must got one of the cleaner ones. That's the ones that they want to show, or the ones that's together. But it's nice.
They will use you as a magazine prop, basically.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's move on, because that's a great discussion. We could do a whole show and talk about community issues.
Yes, we can. But kudos to Dave Chabot. Thanks, Dave.
Yes, thanks, Dave. I mean, I really do appreciate his
I appreciate that.
He could have just been, because he could have just been that local rich community member that doesn't participate in day-to-day operations. And it's lucky for them that there is this intrigue to build there, because I never heard of Yellow Springs, Ohio before. I mean, before Dave started talking about it, Dave started saying stuff in his that he still lives in his hometown, that he wanted to stay in his hometown because it's so. And then inviting all those people will invite people to start visiting his property. If they did this development, 140 properties, that's particularly 140 plus people coming into the community to upset his life as well as a celebrity that lives in Yellow Springs, Ohio, because there is no foot traffic to his home. And that would kind of change things, because once you let one development in, there's the third one, there's the fifth one, there's the 10th development. Now he lives in a metropolitan city, and that's not what he wants to do.
It's not.
He chose the small town community. I mean, he lived there before, and he chose to go back there because it felt like home. And you trying to change his home environment. It's not fair. It's not fair to the people that also love growing up in a small town community where everybody knows their name.
Right. So just like I said, like, people just got to be open about it, and stop always just, wordplay. Yeah. So the whole point is to make
the environmental impact too. The environmental impact is another thing, because like I said in the article, they also mentioned something about the housing crisis. Yeah, but there's the housing crisis, and then there's destroying lands.
Mm-hmm.
Do you need to build this land on this land? Or can you go build on another sled of land that was already something there? But like here in Baltimore, there's a whole bunch of investment if you want to get some properties. You can build. You're trying to build 140 homes. There's 100 from sure of it. 140 vacant homes. They might not be in a community, but there's 140 vacant homes that you can redevelop for less money.
And they just did Somerset over too. Somerset extensions.
I mean, I'm talking about all over. You don't even have to do it in one community. You could do 140 homes all over.
All these still. How about start on North Avenue? Do the whole.
Yes. That is a thoroughfare that needs it. Yes, indeed.
How about start on North Avenue? But yeah, he's seen through the wordplay.
Mm-hmm. So let's move on to Nipsey Hussle. So jurors found the 32-year-old man guilty of first-degree murder Wednesday today for the 2019 fatal shooting of the rapper Nipsey Hussle. The Los Angeles jury found Eric R. Holder Jr. guilty of 2 counts of attempted murder attempted voluntary manslaughter also. Instead of the 2, he was going to be charged with 2 attempted murder counts, but they reduced it to attempted voluntary manslaughter. But he was already convicted of first-degree murder, so that's life, basically. Because in the 2 attempted voluntary manslaughter cases came from the other 2 people that were hit from the gunfire at the scene.
Right. So I guess they're saying he meant to kill. He meant to kill not Nipsey, but not the other guys. They just got.
It didn't mean to shoot. That they were in the wrong place, basically at the wrong time.
Right. Right.
So there was a question on this about why, on whether this was premeditated or not. And the consensus came back that it was premeditated, because that's why he got charged and convicted of first-degree murder. It says Holder and Hussle had known each other for years, because that was my question when we were talking about this before the show. I was questioning, like, what was the reasoning for him shooting him? Like, was this like a gang thing? If he was trying to change his life and leave more gang play to the past and start to become a business owner and an entrepreneur, and also an entertainer as far as his rap career was concerned, because he released his first album posthumously, right? Because he released that album after he died, right? Did it come out afterwards?
I believe so. I'm not exactly sure.
I think it did, because he got the Grammy nomination. He couldn't go because he was not here, right?
Right.
So it says Holder and Hussle had known each other for years. They grew up members of the same South Los Angeles street gang, when a chance meeting outside the rapper's Los Angeles clothing store led to the shooting and his death. Continuing on, the evidence against Holder was overwhelming, from eyewitnesses to surveillance cameras from the local businesses that captured the arrival, the shooting, and the departure. His attorney did not deny that he was the shooter, but urged jurors to find him guilty of a lesser charge of voluntary manslaughter. That didn't happen for Nipsey's portion of it.
Right.
The shooting followed a conversation of the 2 men had about rumors that Holder had been acting as an informant for the authorities. Holder's lawyer, Aaron Jansen, said that being publicly accused of being a snitch by a person as prominent as Hussle brought on a heat of passion in Holder that made him not guilty of first-degree murder. But the jury rejected that, because they said the premeditation came because you apparently knew that Hussle was already speaking about this. So it was almost like you planned to go
there and to confront him.
Exactly. And then
your temperament was probably like, I'm going to kill this one.
Which makes that premeditation. Because if you knew, especially, and then you got to think about that too, because if you knew that Hussle was planning this event, and you also knew that he was saying these things about you, that is premeditation. You premeditated, because you came packing. You was ready for something.
Right. And what was your purpose? I mean, what did you think? Like, when you really think of it in hindsight, what did you think was going to come from this discussion or confronting him?
Here's what the attorney said. He said, McKinney told jurors that 9 minutes between the conversation and the shooting allowed more than enough time for the killing to be premeditated. Because they had a conversation prior. They were talking prior to the shooting. So 9 minutes from the start of the conversation, that is a long conversation. We just had a whole conversation here, yeah. And we've been on air for 45 minutes. And we've talked about Dave Chappelle. That was a whole full, so imagine having that conversation, then I shoot you.
Right. Because that was already my purpose. Because I already came with a gun.
Because you came there with the intention to argue with me about what I've said about you apparently to the gang and whoever else, because they probably distanced themselves from you from being a snitch.
Right. And my whole thing is, I mean, you going there to confront him or whatever, it doesn't take back whatever the rumor that's just saying that he spread it about. So what was your purpose? Your purpose was to go to his, to do what you did.
It says the jury apparently agreed that this was premeditated. So that's why he got convicted of first-degree murder and then 2 counts of voluntary, not involuntary, but voluntary manslaughter.
Right. And that's because the other guys got caught in the
other 2 got shot. But it was voluntary and not involuntary because he did this. He shot them not intentionally to shoot them, but he was intentionally shooting at Nipsey and they got him. So it was voluntary because he did it. He was shooting and those people became collateral damage.
Right. It's so unfortunate that it happened. Rest in peace to Nipsey. Prayers and condolences still got all his families and his friends. It's just so unfortunate that it happened like that because he definitely had a great future ahead of him.
It was on the rise. Exactly.
Yes, it was definitely on the rise. He was loved by his community. He was bringing positivity in the community. You also hear about other things where he was reaching back out to the guys that was in the street life and the gangs, trying to get them to do, positive stuff with the record label, into music and everything else like that. So it's just sad. That is like over a rumor initially, because if you go somewhere to confront someone like that, I understand that somebody's saying that you're a snitch. We know how bad of a stigma that is in any Black community and any, involvement. But like I said, what were you trying to get from the conversation? It wasn't going to take it back if it was already out there. It was already out there. Once that type of rumor gets started, it gets started. So
it's so funny with that snitch thing because I always tell people, if you don't want to get told on, don't involve me.
Okay. I don't mean to. No. And to me, right, a snitch is, to me, you telling something to get yourself out of trouble. But the stigma here in Baltimore is like, if you tell anything that you are a snitch, it's crazy that you expect me, my friend, to be with me and you shoot my friend. And I see your face and I know who you is.
I'm telling.
If I tell I'm a snitch, bullcrap.
Oh no, I told her. I already told. It's that I'm telling. I have already told.
Right.
You
like that.
You have already been cuffed because I have already told.
Straight like that. And that's why there's so much turmoil on the streets, because people don't tell.
I'm not spending no time in prison for you, so I'm not perjuring myself. One.
Right.
There's no way that your shortcomings should come back on me.
Right.
They belong to you. You get to keep them forever because I get to go home at night.
Right.
Because I earned the right to go home at night. You did not. You took a chance and you committed a crime, you do the time.
Right.
I'm sorry.
And in my eyes, like I said, what a snitch is, if you were out there selling drugs and you got caught and then you want to tell somebody else's business for you to get you out of trouble. In my opinion, that's a
like
snitch.
Saying, well, you bought weed from me. So what? I didn't get caught. buying the weed from
you. Yeah. It's crazy.
Why would you bring that up? So what you trying to say? You trying to you trying to come back and snitch on me? But I didn't get caught. So it's like you saying that, but you buy weed from me. Okay, yeah, I do. But I do. Also, the police wasn't involved in our transaction.
Don't
the
put
police
me
got
in
involved in
Don't put me in there.
Go down for that. Now, no, you can't bring me down with a pass sale. It don't work like that.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. If you out here doing a crime or whatever, even if you know weed being legal and you're buying it, be ready to do the time. That's what I'm saying. I don't agree where if you doing something, say, oh, it's not only me. It was him too. You get what I mean? That's a snitch.
Okay,
That's a
okay. Give me a second, Nate. You know I gotta set up things. I can't just bring you on. It's not that easy. Nate said, "Bring me on."
Oh, Nate, I want to talk about it. Hey, Nate.
Hold on, let me see if I can get him here.
You know, he always got something good to say. Yes, but I agree. Rest in peace to Nipsey Russell. They definitely were smart because they kept all of that under wraps. I know that the COVID and everything delayed the case or whatever, but you really didn't hear much about it, much about the evidence, much about anything until it was time for court.
Now he said, "Move over, make room, bitches."
Please.
All right. Well, he must have something that he wants to relate to this story. So I'm not going to move on just yet. So we can continue to talk about this for a couple more seconds until he sees here.
Bring friend on in.
What was it? Shoot, I lost my train of thought. Are we talking about the snitches?
Right.
I just don't understand. I mean, like, who else was he mad at? Was it just Nipsey? Because it couldn't have been just Nipsey. Somebody else had to know something about this tactic that he was taking to use if he was an informant.
That's what I'm saying.
And after a while, like, I mean, if you were being an informant and then your gang members found out that you were the informant, why you are not in witness protection is what's scaring me.
Right. And in the same way it came back to him, how he don't know if it was a rumor. I mean, it would be more than likely if I could put it on anybody that was real predominant, that was basically famous in my community. Why would you be like, oh yeah, Nipsey putting that bug out on me? So I don't know. It just was petty.
Mm-hmm.
Really petty.
And there they is.
Eating my food.
What you eating?
They ain't give us no sponsorship, so I can't say it.
Oh, okay. That's right.
Did you have something that you wanted to add to this Nipsey Hussle situation, the conviction of the murderer?
I didn't hear anything about stop snitching. That's all I really had to say. But I didn't hear anything about stop snitching. And it seems like if it's a celebrity that everybody likes, we're okay with people snitching on them. Or the ops. We okay with the ops if it's a celebrity that we like. So that was my 2 cents. I have other 2 cents, but specifically about these situations, it's like when do we apply to stop snitching? Is that just to the victims' families, or when it's a random person that's killed or something? But it only seems to apply when it's a famous rich person.
Right. Then you want them to tell.
Right. Then we want to know who it was.
But like I said, they did good with keeping all the evidence or whatever they had on the wraps because they had surveillance. cameras.
Yeah,
this guy's name, I didn't even hear his name.
They had different angles because it was also because other businesses were in the area were recording that direction too. So they had different angles of it. People's cell phones.
They had his footage from his shop.
They had the footage from the shop. They also had all the cell phone footage from people that was recording live or people that were live. Because remember, this was an event.
This was an event, right?
This was his
in front of his shop.
His shop opening.
In front of his shop.
And the release it, and like we were talking about Chastity, it was because he was releasing his album.
Yeah.
His album was coming out that day. And now he wasn't being good. It said that I lost it. He had released his major label debut album, which earned him his first Grammy nomination. And then he was gunned down when he was gunned down.
Yeah.
So
but that was a great point you brought up, though, Nate. That you brought up now, that stop snitching part. That is so true.
His murderer was convicted. His murderer was convicted of first-degree murder today, as well as 2 counts of attempted voluntary manslaughter.
And it's real. It's again that selective outrage that we see. And I'm a person snitch. Don't do shit in front of me because I'm snitching.
Okay.
When it's me or you on that court, it separated us. It just brought it out of me because I've been in victim situations with family members and or friends or students that have been killed, and I don't believe in it at all. You know, I hated the fact, of those 2 videos that were put out promoting stop snitching by people who were snitching. But I really it seems like it's crazy to me. It was. Many of those people snitched and told who was behind producing those videos. But it's interesting to me that we're all we want to find out who it is when it's someone that's beloved. But when it's somebody's random family member, we don't say anything.
Right. And that's the point I was making, I think, Nate, before you came on. That was just basically saying, like, so it's snitching if I'm with my friend, if me and you together and someone shoots you, I ain't supposed to say nothing. I'm a snitch because I just watched you kill my friend and I want to tell who you is. But on the other hand, if I'm walking on the street with a celebrity, or how like you say, it's selective outrage. It is, Nate, that is an awesome point. It definitely is. Like, because in all hindsight, even the witnesses or whoever all day, everybody snitched. Everybody snitched.
Everybody turning phone footage and all that. That's snitching, right?
Yeah.
And I'm saying that for me, I've lost a grandmother to violence out on the street. And it was different up until that happened. But it always made me pause that we lived in this. I'm not in those streets, so I don't got to live by those codes. That's a Crips code. That don't have nothing to do with me. And I'm not against Nipsey Hussle, but that's the lifestyle he was promoting. It was a lot of positivity in his messaging, but his exterior said, "What is Crips?"
I don't want some gang. I don't know exactly which one he belonged to, but yes, he definitely was in that in that gang life.
Right. So we have sympathy for him because he was a wealthy member of that or face of that movement. I'll call it a movement because it was supposed to be a movement. But if you don't have a face or a name, or if you some random, resident of a city that just get caught in the crossfire, we're not supposed to open our mouth.
Right. And nobody says anything. I agree, Nate. Like, I have a different standpoint on it as well. One of my younger cousins, Tyrinka Dorsey, was killed a few days after her birthday, coming from a bar, something random. But she wasn't the only one that was shot. She wasn't the only one there. Everyone seen who she was arguing with in the bar.
I'm not speaking on your family that way, but it's probably somebody in your family that know who did it, but because of that street code, they won't say nothing.
Yeah.
hurting themselves, killing on themselves on the inside, but you know, and you won't say nothing because some creed of the street.
Because somebody gonna call you a snitch. And that's why I say the whole definition of that is just totally misconstrued. Just like I was saying with Monny, I believe a snitch is if I'm trying to tell something to get myself out of trouble, meaning I'm doing wrong and I'm doing a crime, but now I'm afraid of the time. So like, man, you selling drugs together, they catch me and I say, oh, that's who else? Oh, he over there doing it too. That's a snitch.
But Chastity, that's how it started.
Right.
And then it just became a blanket statement towards anybody
that tells anything. Right.
If I shoot your grandmother, I ain't gonna say nothing. And everybody that knows what happened ain't gonna say nothing. These babies that are getting killed out here in a crossfire, they know that it wasn't crossfire. They know that was meant for that child. But they won't say nothing. So, yeah, fuck your creed, because I'm snitching.
Don't hurt nobody in front of me. That's what I said.
The opinions of Nate does not reflect Monty's show. But I'm snitching, bitches.
News delivered with no filter, okay?
Okay.
His face. Do it around me.
I get it. And I'm telling everything I heard too. Baby.
Yeah, I'm going.
Baby, I'm calling. Look. But I think a lot of it too here is just also the distrust as well for the police, the distrust or whatever else like that, and the breaking of our systems as well. So I know sometimes on the other side of that, people may want to be, be informative and to share information. But we know a lot of the stuff that was going on here, with the police department of us and that. So it was crooked. So I think a lot of that just made that whole concept be misconstrued because a lot of people went and told information or whatever, in confidence. And a lot of those people lost their lives because the very people that they went and told used that, the police department. They weren't protected, I guess, with their information that they were. So people are scared. People are scared, and quite frankly, in our city, people will kill you for anything. At this day and age, a lot of people think that it be stuff going on, and a lot of those questions are what were they into or what they was doing. No, a lot of it be I'm in the gas station, you in the gas station, you look at me, she looking at me all crazy, you looking at me all crazy. Then they on them pills and bang bang, kill. They have no feelings or anything. So I know a lot of that is going on too. But like I said, on the backside of it. Yeah, it's absurd to me. That snitching. You bring up a great point. Like, it's selective. It's okay to tell. It's okay to tell. And we've seen it a lot of times in our own city too. Like with people that are like considered on celebrity status.
Yeah.
That are popular in our community, a few of them that have got killed. You know what I'm saying? It's been okay to so-called snitch in regards to them. But look at all these kids, all of these people that get killed. It's like on the average.
It hurts me when their music reflects it too. Like, I understand you speaking about the things that you have experienced, but that at some point it's glorifying it because you're saying it's okay, and then free Pookie. No, Pookie did it, bitch. No, he killed somebody's mother or child.
Yes, and you know it. And you know Pookie is popping pills and everything else like that, and Pookie don't care. And if you say something wrong to Pookie, he might kill you too. But you want him home.
No.
Okay.
Free Pookie, baby.
Okay. Free the real. And you already know what's going on. I agree. It's in the music, it's in the message.
Free the real.
Free my man's though. So you can come out here and kill a couple more people.
Oh no, I always see the hashtag says we use a Pookie, free Pookie until it's backwards. So it will say Pookie free.
Free Pookie. My man's free, y'all.
That was a
let him out.
Yes.
All right. All right. I think we've talked about that one. Good.
But rest in peace, Nipsey.
Rest in peace.
Hopefully it was something that, people.
I don't think I've said anything about Amber Heard publicly yet.
Amber Heard.
Outside of your show, Nate.
That crazy ass lady.
So Amber Heard is seeking an appeal or to have the verdict thrown out in her recent defamation suit with Johnny Depp. We all know that trial ran for 6 weeks and gave us the best memes ever. And
which was so
yeah, her argument, she's saying that
yes, she did. Yes, she did, Nate.
The lawsuit itself stemmed from the article she did with the Washington Post in reference to him. Mm-hmm. But we all know that he was awarded $15 million in damages. So it says on Friday, this is when the filing went in, a 48-page filing, Heard's attorney Elaine Bredehoft claims that Depp's team proceeded solely on a defamation by implication theory, abandoning any claims that Ms. Heard's statements were actually false.
That's exactly what he was saying.
Going on to say that due to inconsistent verdicts, the judgment should be set aside and a new trial should be ordered. So it says it claims that one of 3 statements that was found to be defamatory. The headline of the article, which Heard says she did not write. Depp's lawyers argued that because Amber, I'm just going to call her Amber, because Amber retweeted the article the day of the publication, that it is considered actionable republication. And I agree with that. When you retweet something, that means.
Say the last part.
Johnny's lawyers argued that Heard had retweeted the article the day after the publication was released, right? So it was considered to be an actionable republication.
Meaning she did it both times. She reposted when they did it online and when it came out in the actual paper.
That's what I'm saying. So so her reposting, her retweeting it served as her agreeing with what was published.
Right.
And so it says, but Friday's filing claims should be dismissed as long as Ms. Heard's tweet constituted a legally enforceable republication. The filing also asked the court to investigate whether one of the jurors properly served on the jury for the trial. So juror 15, they're saying, appears to have had a 25-year difference in age between their date of birth on the court documents and in publicly available information.
And that could have been a clerk.
Yeah, that could have been a clerk. Would like to see if they even accept this.
That's the point that I made, Nate. That was definitely a clerical error.
Yeah, that's not
error. Him trying to deframe or get in there anything else like that, because they said
might as well spread them wide, baby, because you got about what she got.
Because if you're trying to, what difference did the age make when you? And what difference did the age make when you are the one that selected the jurors? You had to approve of a juror. You had to approve. This is the process of jury selection.
As a defense, they got a better selection than the prosecution did.
Exactly. So in both sets of, you both selected your jury, and you both had the right to deny or approve a juror. So you accepted that juror, regardless if they had a 25-year age, whatever. That didn't matter. You're reaching. And then my whole point on this whole thing is like, why are you even doing this? Johnny has now said publicly that he actually was not even going after you for the money. It was all on principle. The principle is that we beat up each other. Don't act like you being beat up maliciously when we were fighting each other.
But that's not what he said, though. He said he was always defending himself.
Yeah.
She was doubling down on him.
Inside the case, he didn't say that. You're absolutely right. But inside the case, he had to actually admit that they were fighting. It was fights. Mm-hmm. But the point is that he is not even trying to get the money from you. Because he was like, this wasn't even on principle. The principle was that, yes, you were also an instigator in what we went through.
Mm-hmm.
It's the principle that
it's the white lady in and of it for me. Like, you just feel like, because as a white lady, you say, can you erase this, that? I'm going to erase this. And I think he got paid $13 million because she got one count, but it wasn't even.
Yeah, she won $2 million. So the offset is 13, correct.
But it wasn't even him that got her that $2 million. It was his publicist, that PR dude that got up there that got her that $2 million. So he probably gonna go recoup that from that nigga. Because I need my money.
Here we go. It says a counterclaim brought by her against one of Depp's lawyers was also upheld. That's how she got the $2 million. Yeah. Yeah, I just a silly white lady.
Hang it up, Amber.
I mean, this is probably just it. She's already destroyed her career. Why go for more? This is probably already destroyed her career. I don't see who's going to hire
that you bringing out. You should have brought it out in trial. If it was so much of a discrepancy with the juror, if it was so much of a discrepancy and what they were saying about you retweeting and all of that, you use that in your trial.
But her judges were silly. They were silly. She was silly. So she would only select silly people to represent her.
Oh yeah, her lawyers. Yeah, they were comical. They were very good. The most.
And 6 weeks was enough for me. Leave it alone.
But I was into it. I was into it in a way that was unnatural because it was really
a cackle.
Yeah, it was.
It was like a comedic performance.
It was like a series, honey. Like I was watching the show, like season 1, episode 1.
Right. It was a little bland, but I like when white people fighting each other. I love it. But it was all of the things that were coming out against her. Like, man, you are not winning this at all.
No, right. You are really losing this battle.
You are losing. They lost me after she said, no one's going to believe you. And I was like, oh, bitch, you is bold.
Right.
You is bold.
Because she thought the Me Too movement was going to high point at ass.
Girl,
and it backfired. Everybody was looking at it like with a skeptical eye, like, what?
Yes. And that's what you insinuated. You insinuated that man was abusing you, that you were in a domestic violence relationship, that you were the victim, when in all hindsight, what was found is that you were the instigator. Yes, it may have been some domestic violence issues, but you were not clearly the victim. And what you were insinuating as if Johnny Depp was beating you was not true. It was found not to be true.
It was two things. One, when white women started joking her on Instagram and shit, I was like, she about to lose. When it was the white women acting like Amber Heard for me, I was like, I ain't never seen no shit like that. Like that, but they know
that part.
And then it was the second thing was her crackhead sister. Like her crackhead sister's testimony. I think that's what lost it for.
You said Thomas Henry. Like that, the guy that's on TikTok, his name is Thomas Henry or something like that, and he had some of the best memes out of everybody, where he would just be imitating her and making these faces and stuff. Hilarious.
The older white man, I know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But it was her crackhead sister that took it all the way home from me. Like you let that crackhead get on, right? You let that crackhead get on stand for you. You let a crackhead testify for you. Right, you were losing before, but then you let a crackhead talk for you. She talked about how they did coke together, man. No, don't let no crackhead defend you.
Okay.
No. They better have offered her a bump, and she would have turned on her and dumped on his side. That's all they needed was to give her a bump. Catching the bathroom, like, what the girl?
What's interesting is that, Nate, you don't drive, so I can't even answer this. But Chastity, you do. You didn't see any gas stations here do that? What we talked about, the $2 gas. Nobody did that here. So the next story was going to move on to
it was out in the county, not county, but like the Dundalk. A couple of them in Dundalk, Essex did it, but they were like outside the city.
Lower their gas to $2.
It was like a sale. Maybe I think it was like 2 days in a row they did it, but it was out. It was out because I did drive with my friend to go.
It would have been interesting, but because Royal Farms is dominant now here with the gas station situation, it would have been really cute if they would have did it. Because they could have made that revenue. I mean, they wouldn't have. It would have been a drop in the bucket to them because they have taken over the the gas market here in Maryland. They could have did it. They could have lowered all of their gas station prices to $2.
Did it. You know the Sam's Club out Westfield.
Sam's Club could have did it. Yeah, they could have did it. They could have took that hit for it.
And they always had discounted, just like BJ's. All of them always had discounted prices or whatever. But I haven't heard, like, it probably was something that just was going on for a couple of days. But I certainly didn't hear about it. So they definitely kept that under wraps. But what Monny was talking about in Georgia, they $2. Yeah, not just like a discount, $2 per gallon.
Is it a mistake?
Hinesville, Georgia, a gas for $2 a gallon.
Oh my God! I'm thinking you talking about Atlanta. There's about 5 people that live there.
But guess
what? They had a line. The line at the Chevron gas station was over a mile long.
Did they live in that town though?
He was expecting to fill around 5,000 gallons that day, which would have been a huge loss of revenue for him. But he wanted to give back. So he purchased his gas for about $3.85. So he lowered it to $2. So he lost on average $1.86 per gallon, which I think that was really nice. Seeing as though
that gas was up to almost $5, and you only paid $3.
You got to make a profit. You still got to make a profit. Supply and demand.
So essentially, with the gas, he didn't make any profit. But I said
no, he lost. He lost $1.86.
Yeah,
so
but
he
if it was like
any money, and he lost money. So that I thought that was awesome, and that's probably gonna make him a community hero. His gas station is probably busier than ever now.
Yes, and not only for the gas. Like, can you imagine?
Not just for the gas. Like people want to come there just to come and support him and help him. Hopefully, he probably will do it again. That's the dream, right? Because that's probably the dream.
But that's how he probably got the profit back, because people started probably going there buying lottery tickets and
that's what I was saying.
He ain't slick.
Right.
Selling them old.
But it's a good gimmick. It's a great gimmick because hopefully, one day he might do it again. Maybe he might start doing it once a month while this price gouging is going on with the gas market. He might end up doing it once a month. If he can recoup his profits during the next days, he might do it again for August. But you never know. That's why I wanted to talk about this story, because I think it's a great idea and a great publicity stunt to do that, to lower your gas to $2 maybe once a month, because you can see the profit. If you can see the profits return to you in the following days.
And mind you, nobody left without their gas tank being full.
Yes, because he's got now people notice that the Chevron gas station, the owner is of some standard.
Yeah.
And now they might be like, okay, we got to keep our eye on this gas station because they might lower gas again. And look, I'm not going there because I have no patience for standing in line for a mile long line of trying to get gas. I don't have that kind of patience. Right. I'll pay the $5.
I'm gonna run out of fucking gas just trying to get the gas.
That's what I said. I ain't got time to be riding all the way out and all that to save some cents.
And how many pumps does this Chevron have?
Definitely was great.
Chevrons have like the amount of gas pumps like Royal Farms have, 12 and 13 of them. This Chevron probably only had 4 pumps.
Four. Lordstown about 4 to 6.
Well, 4 pumps, that's 8 pumps total, because it's probably 1 on each side.
But
I know the people who lived in that town was mad. I know they was mad at the people that lived there, because all them people did not come from that town.
They all came from the surrounding communities to get that gas.
Yes. And I'm sure they were putting in jugs and everything else.
That's not a normal thing. I was say kudos to that man, though, because that's not a normal thing. Ain't nobody lowering no gas, not in these days.
Except for that man who made a mistake and made it 69 cents.
I remember that.
I think it was the manager of one of the stations made it 69 cents by mistake.
I remember that. They came up there, they was gangbusters.
But it took them a whole day for them to realize that you selling gas hand over fist, and you don't realize that shit only coming up to $4 and some change and shit, or $10 for a fill up.
Oh, I remember that. I remember that very well.
I remember he'd have been fired. He would have never worked again.
He probably still playing out his check.
He probably gonna get fired anyway. That's what it was.
Yes. But just like I said, I know every car came through there was full, and they left with gas cans and everything too, full to the
But it took them a whole day for them to realize the mistake had happened. He didn't realize because he didn't put it on the sign. It was ringing up at the pump as for
at the pump. Yeah, I remember that. The sign still said what the gas was supposed to say correctly, but when they got to the final sale, that's when it was like.
But for me, like I worked at Royal Farms before,
so people probably was going to get money back.
Right, but you can see it on the register.
Oh no, they was real confused because at one point, they was real confused because at one point somebody had thought the gas pump was broken, but their tank was full and the gas started pouring out the side.
Ain't nobody say a damn thing all day long.
He was like, "Oh shoot, my gas is full." He put the can back on.
I surely wouldn't have snitched.
So I would have came back a couple more times. I would have tapped that off like every.
My selective outrage would have been on, baby. I
like that man when the man was
selective outrage.
Okay, I've been out there quiet. I would have had my own strategic business plan.
Right, but did y'all see
that he lost up to $10,000 that day?
Oh, I can see it. Yeah, I can see it.
He lost up to $10,000 that day.
Did y'all see that?
That was perfect.
Where the guy was filling up the flatbed of his truck. And he ended up setting the whole entire truck on fire, and like the whole entire gas station lit on fire.
So wait a minute, he's trying to just pull the gas in the back?
He was just putting the gas in the flatbed of the truck, and then drove off, and the gas was just spilling all over the place, and it caught on fire.
I'm gonna tell you how many times that happened. And I worked at Royal Farms for maybe a year. I saw that happen. It happened at least twice a week, where somebody would pull off with the hose still in their
car.
And rip the hose off. That's why they made the way they are, because they used to come out of the actual machine. Now they are separate. It's a separate up here. So if they pull it off, it's going to automatically shut it off.
Yeah, shut off the valve. Yeah, because it's
there's plenty of people do that. People drive away people do it all. They be on their phone and they just drive off.
Just not paying attention.
Or they see a piece of ass across the street and they go drive across the street.
Okay.
All right, last two stories. Rihanna just came out as America's youngest self-made billionaire.
Okay.
Making the list at number 21. She's number 21 on the list with $1.4 billion to her name. Part of her success comes from the success for her cosmetics line, Fenty Beauty, also her 30% stake in Savage X Fenty, the lingerie line, and she just became, so she is the one and only, which is why she's basically the prime minister of her own country. She is the one and only billionaire in Barbados. That's impressive. But which is why they almost declared, it's almost like they declared her prime minister of the country. So it's kind of impressive. Like her house is bigger than the governor's mansion or the prime minister's mansion. It's really impressive.
She's the ambassador for Barbados.
Yeah, she's like the ambassador. Mm-hmm. And they love her. I mean, like, I don't think she invests so much money. I mean, it's that has to be something, some kind of island to feel the love coming from a country that much, because she invests so much of her money into the development of her own country, and that
she amassed all that. She amassed all of that, and she can't even sing. That's just amazing to me.
Oh my God.
No, What's amazing is that that was her avenue to start. But it definitely was genius that once she got in there, you know, regardless of what, she had the look. She had just basically just that push behind her from being from Barbados, you know, that phone and all that. And she went in that one stream, but was able to use that success, use her popularity, and go into other stuff. Cosmetics.
She got tired of lip syncing. She said, baby, let me just do something else for these people to find me out.
Other people that are on that, just to get finish this off, other people that are on the list is Kylie Jenner with 600 million, Taylor Swift with 570 million, Beyonce, of course, with 450 million, Kim Kardashian, 1.8 billion, Reese Witherspoon, 430 million, Serena Williams, 260 million, Sandra Bullock, 225 million, Madonna, 575 million, Kris Jenner, 230 million.
I ain't no fucking shit.
That's it.
Well, work, Riri. You a billionaire, baby.
Oh, girl.
Self-made. So regardless of that voice wasn't like that or not,
it's not just that she's a billionaire. She's a billionaire off of her own inspired products.
Yes. And she got that popularity and notoriety for what everyone was noticing her for, her beauty.
Her body. And her beauty and her body. Yep.
And she made a papa move.
She didn't say her voice, Monny.
No one said that. No one ever said her voice.
Like I said, but realistically in her music though, she wasn't
even
being noticed for that.
I won't say her voice, but I will say this. I won't say her voice, but I will say it was for her entertainment value. She's an entertainer.
Right.
Definitely gives a performance.
And what most people was noting was her looks, her beauty, her sex appeal, her sexiness. And she used that and she capitalized on it. Oh, if you use this makeup, you look like me. And then another thing that I think that she did that was wonderful is that how when she was doing her fashion shows and stuff, she included everybody. She included all sizes.
She made Lunel, when she made Lunel a model, I said, she made clothes for everybody.
I haven't watched one of the fashion shows. I might have to go on Prime and watch one of these fashion shows. I haven't seen one yet.
Okay.
Yeah, Lunel up there.
All the girls in lingerie. Yeah. She gave everybody. Y'all think I'm beautiful? Everybody can be beautiful.
That's the other point. I know it was just the effort of the shows itself, but the deal that she got from Amazon too was also lucrative. Put on her shows and stuff. So
her stuff is not expensive because I have a couple pairs of underwear.
It's not. Right. She makes it reasonable too. Yes.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
All right. Congratulations, Rihanna. But last but not least, we have to talk about Brittany Griner.
Brittany who?
Brittany Griner, who's still locked up in Russia.
Down in Ukraine, facing 10 years.
Russia, not Ukraine.
Russia, I'm sorry.
It's more than I think it's more to the story than what they're telling us. And she did something else. Because they're not just going to get her for no paraphernalia.
Well, not necessarily. It's Russia. So they petty. They petty, especially the U.S. to anybody from the U.S. It's pettiness. That's what this is. And it's also probably going to deal with a prisoner exchange, which is probably the reluctancy on our part is probably because we're talking about a basketball player that went over there for her career that is being popped for marijuana. And then we're talking about a criminal that we have in our custody that actually was trying to do something to America. It's how do you weigh that is the problem. How do you weigh that? I know we want her home. I want her to come home, but is a prisoner, that's what they're weighing, right? Is a prisoner exchange.
Break his leg or something.
I don't understand. My point that I was telling Chastity is that here we are, we're talking about marijuana, not marijuana distribution, but marijuana that she had for her own personal use, and it was oil. So it was ointment basically for joints and a vape pen. I think she did have a vape pen. Yeah. So we're still talking about stuff that was for personal use, not for distribution.
But you know, first of all, I'm not defending what they did.
A prime time court hearing, you know, a prime time cameras flashing court experience for something like that.
But why do you? I mean, and my whole part was, why do you have that on you? Like, I have friends who have.
Why wouldn't you ask somebody if it was legal for me to bring this into a particular country?
But Russia is not one. But you know what the problem was? She's probably done it before, because I have friends who have snuck weed fucking out of the country on vacation with us.
That's
and dumbasses, but she probably had gotten away with it before and thought, I'm gonna just do it again. Or
I would like to know. What I didn't see is how it came about. They found out that it was marijuana oil.
Because it probably was extra checks, because we were still in middle of COVID. So they probably was just doing extra checks and more random checks, just to make sure everybody, because and you were American coming into another country. So they already were just letting us in places.
Right.
So they probably was just extra checks, and they came across, and that probably isn't the first time she had it, but because she's like an athlete, they normally got that pass where they just go through all the scans. They don't have to stop at anything. But yeah, it's just I think people are foolish for trying to sneak shit in and out the country, whether it be a handgun or a weapon or a 2 large size of conditioner shampoo. Like, girl, just do what you're supposed to do. There's a whole fucking list of things that you're not supposed to bring.
Right.
Just don't do it.
Racism and all that still going around the country and everything else like that, child. You're not them. I mean, at the end of the day, it's pettiness. I'm sure it's some political controversy that definitely plays a big part of them trying to get a prisoner back and her facing these 10 years. Of course, to us, it's petty. But just like you pointed out, Nate, it's against the law there. And everybody know that they are extreme with their laws. They are extreme.
It's against the law here. You can't bring that shit here.
Right. But what I'm saying is that we wouldn't probably persecute in that way.
Right.
And especially for the extreme. But that is their practices in that country. That's their practices in that country.
That is why I wouldn't have taken it to another country, especially not Russia.
No.
That's the one thing I'm not going to do, is play with Russia. Of all places to play with, and the contention that the U.S. has with Russia and have had with Russia for over 50 years, why would you play?
But see, she was an athlete and thought she was exempt. You thought you was exempt because you played on a team.
That's even more scrutiny, because you are an athlete. They're going to try to find something on you.
Yes. And a woman of color.
I'm not here. I mean, we're definitely not here to talk about her wrongdoing, because it's still stupid and malicious prosecution for you to be talking about prosecuting somebody to this level, where all these cameras and stuff are involved in a marijuana violation. It's gotta be. This is ludicrous. But my point was to say that she wrote a letter to Biden, to President Biden.
Please get me out of here.
On the 4th of July.
I miss my wife. I miss my family.
So it says, on the 4th of July, our family normally honors the service of those who fought for our freedom, including my father, who was a Vietnam War veteran. It hurts thinking about how I usually celebrate this day, because freedom means something completely different to me this year. She implored Biden to continue working on her, to free her. She says, I realize you are dealing with so much, but please don't forget about me and the other American detainees, because there's more people over there.
You know, the shady part is they let that letter get out. They let that letter get out.
Please do all you can. Please do all you can to bring us home. I voted for the first time in 2020, and I voted for you. I believe in you. I still have so much good to do with my freedom that you can help restore.
That was a setup letter.
I go back to it's really not much that he can do besides the prisoner swap. I don't know.
Well, whatever prisoner we have, break both his legs and send him home, so he can't do shit else. Just break him. Oops, we dropped him on the way over there.
They get that girl out. Girl out.
We got him right here. Put him in a wheelchair.
I mean, what I haven't seen too is, what could she possibly get convicted of? What is the conviction that's going to be? What is the conviction going to be like?
But that's what part of me. But that's the part of me felt like it was more than what they may have reported, like something else had to happen. Not to give Russia an excuse, but I just feel like it was more than what's being reported.
But I don't give them any excuses, because if you recall the man that was running against Putin for president of Russia and how he is in jail right now, and how they killed that man by poisoning him in I can't remember what country he was in, but he was traveling and they poisoned and killed him. Okay. And he was another political dissident. And this is just, I don't play with Russia in any kind of sense. Like, I'm not going there ever, one. But I wouldn't do anything there. Nothing. Like, I would be an upstanding citizen for Russia.
Well, that's how we really should act in any country we go to, because many countries don't have a favorable view of us, and they all think we're like a Trump. They all see us as like Trump, but but I really would not. Anytime I've gone out the country, it really, I always had in the back of my mind, like, bitch, don't you even cross the street.
Right, don't jaywalk. You better not jaywalk.
I don't spit.
None of that.
My spit is into a tissue.
Right.
Like nothing. Because it's not safe. It's not safe. They already.
And in some countries, that may be against the law too, to even spit in public, even though you're in that napkin. Like that's how. Yes. So I don't necessarily know if it was more to what she did as breaking the law, but it's definitely more to it. It's definitely more to it than using her as an example.
No, it's definitely, that's why I said it's a way bigger issue, because it's more political in the world stage politically, because she's a WNBA player.
And they're going to use her as an example.
Exactly. And there's no recourse. That's what I'm saying. There is
not the WNBA. I thought she was in a league over there.
I thought she was part of the WNBA. Hold on.
I thought she was.
No, she's WNBA. She's WNBA.
I think they were just going over there to play.
They say her girlfriend lived there.
She plays for a Russian team during the WNBA off season.
Okay,
so she's part of the WNBA, but she's playing for a Russian team during the off season.
That's what I mean.
All money ain't good money.
Right. That I was about to. We be so quick to just go be a part of somebody else's culture and don't have any safety net or no, like, you don't have the same precautions that those other Russian players have, and you can't think that you do.
So they was watching you already, because one, and then they all law as far as what just even being from in the community that she's from, LGBT, one being a colored woman, your look with your locks, all of that. They're making her so, like how you said, I don't know if it's really it was more to the crime of her in the possession of marijuana, but I'm sure that she is being kind of blacklisted for all of that.
Other countries level of corruption.
Carry weed.
But other countries, their form of corruption is different than our corruption. Like over there, they'll purposely seek somebody out and capture them and then hold them prison. Like, it's just different, and we have to be very mindful of our travels, because they don't care about us.
Well, let me read this part right here, because this kind of spells it out. Russian authorities allege that she was in possession of cannabis-derived vape cartridges, right? So that was the cartridges for the pen. Ryan representatives haven't addressed the technical substance of what she is alleged to have possessed, and the line between non-psychoactive cannabidiol, better known as CBD, which is popular among athletes as a possible aid in workout recovery, and the psychoactive cannabis isn't recognized in Russia. CBD is generally recognized as legal in the U.S. excuse me, and the World Anti-Doping Agency removed it from its list of prohibited substances, which might work in her favor. Because if you recall, during the Olympics, Russia got in trouble by the World Anti-Doping Agency for their substance abuse.
But it's different. But it's different.
Well, look, they lacking money. When we got people over here, one of these celebrities that Riri, somebody help her. Give them a $1 million.
That's what they're looking to do. That's all they're looking to do. But the other thing is, it's different if you have a visa versus if you're just visiting. Those Olympic players were visitors. They were not visaed, or whatever you call it. They didn't
and because she has a visa, she is accountable
under
to the
certain
law.
restraints. Yeah,
accountable to the laws of that country.
Basically, that temporary citizenship while you are residing in that country. So
exactly.
But
still, even if this was that, would it be, and for a regular citizen of Russia, would it be national news, or would you have got a slap on the wrist and maybe had to pay a fine?
Well, I think the fact that she was in the WNBA here is what made it make news. It probably wouldn't have made news if she was an average citizen, unless her, the family got heavily.
Right, but no, that's not my point. I mean, I get what you're saying. Yes, her popularity got it to be news. But if you were a Russian citizen and you had some marijuana, would you have been on this political stage of having to go through this trial, or would it have been a slap on the wrist and a fine?
Well, I think she's only getting it dispersed because she is an American citizen. If it was a Russian citizen, they would kill them.
Hard time. Right. I mean, but that's what I'm saying. I'm thinking that, like you said, there might be some other things to this, that there is something else to this, because it sounds like she's going to get hard time the way this is coming out. Because it's now been months. It's been months.
Yeah. I thought it was almost a year.
You are holding me hostage here.
This was last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, for a vape pen. You're holding me hostage for a vape pen.
Yes.
Oh, it was
without an attempt to distribute. This wasn't even an attempt to distribute this vape, this marijuana. This was for my own personal use, and you've convicted me in public opinion.
But see, you know what? And I know the potheads are, so if you're potheads, but I really feel like that's the level in which we need to show accountability over here. It can't be keep slapping you on the wrist, because you can feel like, well, all I gotta do is get me a good Johnny Cochran and I'm good. No, bitch, you're going to jail, and you're gonna stay in jail until the fuck you don't feel like doing it no more. And then that's come on. But I mean, I'm sorry, maybe that's just me, and I don't smoke the marijuana.
I don't know, but again, too, I think that's all a political battle, because me, having experience with smoking marijuana and stuff like that, I ain't never known nobody no marijuana.
Well, she's so professional. You notice how she did that?
Because of the government. Okay, and look, that's the thing. Look, that's why I said, let me took one for Brittany. Sorry, girl. It's legal here, girl. They got cards and everything.
Cards and everything.
No, that looks like a crack pipe. No, that was a crack pipe.
No, it
wasn't. No. It was a bamboo pipe.
Amber Heard, girl.
That was a crack pipe. What's going on at Upper Fells Point? What's going on?
But see, we were talking about just like everything free is like, well, the government is saying that it's legal. You know what I'm saying? It's alcohol is a big problem, but because of the revenue and the money, and everybody can freely sell it, it's a ball here on every corner, whatever else like that. That's more detrimental, I think, in regards.
And I think there needs to be still levels, but what we've all noticed in other countries, they don't play with their fucking citizens. They don't play with you. When they say this
you better not eat no grape out that market.
Right.
You better not. They don't play with thieves.
No, cut that fucking hand off.
They don't play with nothing that is, sexually inappropriate prostitution. They don't play with that shit. No, they don't. Getting high.
They don't.
None of that.
But see, that's and we always ridicule other countries for being too stringent on their laws, but they don't have the problems that we have.
They don't.
Joy Behar on The View, she made notice a lot of these countries don't have a lot of mass shootings in their schools or in workplaces or public places. Some of these third world countries do, but for the most part, a lot of these other countries, they don't have that problem.
Right, because they know they better
wrong,
not.
You going to jail for it, and you might lose your life for it. So don't do it.
I gotta. I want to go back to the original question of the night, because now that Nate's here, let's get his. I want to get your response on it. And it was about. We were talking initially when I first started the show. In my monologue, I was trying to figure about what does the 4th of July mean to you, right? Not just the 4th. It was more so about the freedom of the 4th. What does freedom in the U.S. mean to you? What is your example of freedom?
Well, for me, I went to a really Black elementary school, so I had to learn the whole Star Spangled Banner. So I learned
original version or the updated
original, the extended version. I didn't. So I knew the part that they omitted. I knew when that song had been written, we were still slaves. And still in actually the beginnings of us being brought over here. So I know that holiday was never for us. In terms of freedom,
it wasn't. The independence was the independence that they earned from the British colony,
from their origin,
from their British colony,
right? But for me, the freedom part is, I think we're still left in a space where we're not free. And I actually wrote a post about this weekend, where we have to deliver ourselves from their payroll. And I know that's going to sound difficult, and I got bills, bitch, and I got children to take care of, bitch, who are you? But we have to figure out a way to get back to our cooperative economics, where we are really, and it's been a big jump of that. But I was watching this documentary, and they were showing the different cultures and how their money circulates a certain amount of time. And every single time this poll is taken, our culture has the least amount of reps, like cycles around our own communities. And often, because our businesses are normally in other people's communities and not in our own, the dollar that's circulated in our community belongs to someone else. It doesn't even originate from us. And we're one of the only cultures that buys from every other culture. And we are the least bought from other cultures. So I think that freedom thing is now more of an economical, social question versus the literal meaning of being free. And we have to begin to just do better when it comes to us. You know, I had a really tough situation this weekend that showed me that we aren't free, because white people still feel the need, or feel like they can talk to us any kind of way. They can do whatever they want to do to us and keep us in a space of, you better take this shit. And anytime we show
and that was my point in the question. And that was my point asking the question, because I really wanted to ask the question to be broad, because I wanted to know what people's thoughts were when they were celebrating, especially this 4th in particular. When you were celebrating the 4th of July this year, y'all did all of these firecracker displays, and that was the firecracker. I'm gonna get to that part again with that part.
They did firecrackers in Harbor West too? I didn't know they was allowed to do that in Harbor West.
Fireworks. I'm gonna get to that point, because that's the second part of my question, is the fireworks situation. But this first part was about the freedom, because what is the freedom that we are claiming to have here?
Well, it's not us saying freedom, it's them saying it.
When every time you turn around, something is taken from you. Specifically abortion. Like I was saying to Chastity, like, how is it right for someone to tell you, even be damned the father's ability to say that baby inside of you is theirs, right? It's her body. That baby is a resident. I have the right. She has the right to say, I want to evict this motherfucker. Because it's her body first. The baby just got here. And I'm not trying to be insensitive to other people and how they feel about abortion, but it is not your responsibility to dictate to Chastity, this woman, how to operate with her body. And what she does not want is a child.
And just like I said, there's other circumstances. I think they just looking at it if someone is having consensual sex and getting, pregnant or whatever.
It doesn't matter. If you are the one that is in the medical situation of being pregnant, and you are the actual patient, because your name is on the file, right? The baby has no name. It has no identity at this point. And I'm not saying anything against or for, because I state that it's your choice. It's your business. It's not mine. And you decided, I'm not ready to be a parent and I don't want this baby. Whose decision is that?
Now, me and Monty have had this argument and conversation before. I don't believe in abortion. I don't.
And you have the right to not believe in it, but you don't have the right to influence somebody else.
That's my experience with individuals who I know personally who have had it. It always felt like a plan B from my eyes and my perspective. However, I've never been the person that went and stood in front of them and said, no, don't do this. This is not right. I personally don't believe in it, so I would never have an abortion. And it's impossible for me to have one, so state that being stated. But I personally don't believe in it. But to take away someone's right to something this serious, that is this long living, my fear is now what's next?
Yes. Isn't that what I said?
And that's exactly what I explained in the beginning of the show. What's next is gay rights is up. I mean, gay marriage is back on the
that's
slate.
On the bill. That's on the table.
But I explained to Chastity, but if that's the case, then what's the extreme that we can go to, right? Because Clarence Thomas is married to a white man, a white woman. Well, not a man to me. But so why can't we get rid of it?
And that's why he likes
it. Isn't that next then? Interracial marriage would be next.
It is. Well, if not even going beyond interracial marriages, the idea of us being citizens in this country as Black people, that is not a law. That was an amendment. Exactly. So that was something that was attached to it that could definitely be reversed and and where Clarence Thomas, bitch, you no longer a citizen here. But it feels like things that don't affect those seven.
But the good part about that, though, is that it has to be. I would say that is almost close to impossible to happen because.
But they said the same thing about abortion.
But see that the thing about abortion was done through the courts. Abortion wasn't given the right to be a law by the Constitution.
The same way about our freedom in this country. The same way abolishment was. That started from Lincoln.
But an amendment is a vote from legislature.
That was just
the amendment was the reason why I say that is the amendment was a vote through legislature. That's why you can't do an amendment to the Constitution by the courts. It has to be done through Congress. And that's why that one is almost impossible. That's why I say that one is almost impossible because if you get a whole slew of white people,
even the way that they did this, we're in a majority Democrat country right now. For them to still be able to get this through was amazing. One, but it just showed. And I'm not a person that's going to beat down on Democrats, but Democrats, you're acting like bitches. Because you're trying to be the better person, but being a better person gets your ass beat every time. So I'm saying they're gonna have to start fighting fire with the shit that with like these gun bills and this gun legislation. Like that shit, the same way they just ease them fucking civil rights for Asians across the board, they need to be doing shit to all of this. And it's crazy.
It's crazy.
A civil rights bill that Black people have been waiting on for hundreds of years in this country. A couple Asian women get popped in their motherfucking mouth and that shit can slide right.
And they got it.
Right, stuff like that. But again, we have to begin to look at ourselves. We're the reason that this shit don't happen. Most of us don't vote. The rest of us that do vote for people who make our pockets better versus our communities better. And we're at fault because we don't vote together. Asians vote together. They collectively put their fucking money up and they say, if you don't do this, we're going to remove our money from this area. And that's why shit get done for them. The Jewish people.
I'm laughing because I put that banner above your head. Did you see the banner that popped up above your head, Nate?
I cannot, but I mean it though. Like it's frustrating to me every time I hear a black person complain about Biden or Obama. Bitch, did you vote? Did you vote? How many times did you vote?
We have no real definition on what it is as far as togetherness, and I think that's the point that you are making. Nate. Like far as in our race, other nationalities they do. It doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? You see it in the Jewish community. You see it even with the white people. Right or wrong, at the end of the day, when it comes to a lot of stuff what we've seen, you know, far as racism, it don't even give a fuck if they wrong. I'm gonna ride with them because they my people, and that's just what it is. You get what I'm saying? But far as with black folks, like I said, we get it twisted. People trip us up all the time. We can't agree about shit. We don't have no togetherness or no which name. And how we was talking about far as the businesses and shit. Anybody here or anywhere, they see you doing better than you think you better. That's what it's about. It's about being better.
And I remember when you came to visit the studio space for the first time, you said that to me. And I'm a person that I've always have a level of optimism. Like one day we're gonna see the value in each other. And you kept saying, boy, you wait. You keep waiting.
We don't have no sense of togetherness because
I take that as a negative thing. It's a reality that we so busy trying to get our own bag that we don't realize we taking from every other part of our own communities to get our own bag, and we don't plant anything for a seed for the. We don't even care what's happening to our children.
And we talk about it, and all these other nationalities they bomb broad our shit. Fried chicken. Who fried chicken better than you? Better than us.
I'm still trying to understand hip-hop chicken.
Even though I'm fasting off of chicken, but you know, stuff like that. And then these other nationalities, they can come into the community, they can stutter us. Oh, they eat chicken. Oh, that's what I'm gonna do.
It was on a Food Network, they Asian chef, she said Asian people make the best fried chicken. And the guy came up behind her, he told her why about the black veterans that helped her, or the soldiers that helped her, help those Asian people learn how to fry that chicken. But y'all wasn't frying no chicken before that.
No, wasn't.
Maybe a dog or cat or two, but bitch, you wasn't frying no chicken.
Everything.
Everything. Leave that part out. Leave that part out.
I can't. It's too late. It's live.
Everything that we are dominant in, the food, the fashion, the whatever. We don't support each other. Like I said, we don't have no real clear sense of what togetherness look like. We're not on one accord, and that's what other nationalities have. That's why we always say when it's time to give something to forgiveness, dance, all the shit that's ours. All of it that's created by us, that with everybody bombarded, they take it, they claim it as their own, and they run with it. You know, in the fashion, all the labels, all of them blowing up. Fubu tried to come out.
And
where Fubu?
Where
Fubu? They refused to wear it. They refuse. We support everybody that's not for us. But then when it's something that's for us, we be against it. It's sad. And that's just that's the reality of it. It's sad.
Until it becomes popular again. And it's just crazy. I was looking at I was in class today and I was looking at all the young men with their tennis shoes on. And I was sitting there like they don't have an idea of what they're paying for other children to do. And the young man was like, well, you know, you mad because you don't. I said, I bought Nikes. My Nikes still look fresh because a part of me felt like I couldn't do it. Like I tried to, you know, just have my own thing, but it's hard being a business owner and watching somebody in your face nickel and dime you while they're wearing a fake Gucci earring.
Oh, chill.
With a fake Fendi purse. Or Michael Kors purse and shit. Like it kills me. Yeah. Like it crazy to me. And it makes me, my prices are my prices. That's my attitude now. Because if you're not going to complain when you go to Macy's, you're not complaining when you come to Sebastian Blue.
Right.
And I put the same energy into my work. But we gotta that freedom question, it's on us. No other culture can set us free.
None.
It's gonna be us. We gotta stop letting them run us out our own communities, outprice us in our own communities. You know, build stores and build things that keep us separate. And it's the last thing for me is the doorkeepers. And I know we talk a lot about them, but the doorkeepers, they always put a doorkeeper that look like us in places to keep us separate and out of their spaces. And we got to stop trying to get the bag and be the boss and be validated by individuals that don't care about you. They only put you in a place so they can let you know which ones are the niggas. And we do it. And we won't be free. I'm sorry. As free as I feel as an individual, if I know there's still people around me that don't have that same level of freedom and self-respect and unity in their emotions, I can't even say that we are free. Because look at all the people that were still frying hot dogs, but still were laughing at the fact that there was a Juneteenth, but came right around to July the 4th, frying the same fucking hot dogs, they setting the same sprinklers off, firecrackers off. Couldn't wait to.
I want to continue this, but we gotta go. But
it's cool.
It's
But it was fun.
No, I wanted to continue this because I wanted to move on to the firework thing, because you just brought the firework thing up. But I want to get through this real quick because I still don't understand why. And we already talked. Me and Chelsea already talked about this in the beginning of the show. The fact that people still seem to situation, right? Using fireworks was the example of war. You hear the sense of being a part of war. Like, why is that still something that we are doing today?
It's an American thing.
It is.
It's not even an American thing. I think that's a universal side of celebration.
Very insensitive on the world stage. On a world stage right now, in this time particularly, when Ukraine is going through this actual scenario of bombs bursting in air, to be insensitive to the fact that you setting off fireworks as a representation of what happened when war was happening. So this July 4th holiday, and doing these fireworks and stuff, that is very insensitive. It's not only insensitive to people that have gone through war-torn countries, it's insensitive to your own veterans. I believe that it's insensitive because most of them are PTSD stricken.
But I really feel like, and people who still celebrate the 4th in and of itself, or Thanksgiving or whatever, I think we have usurped a lot of their holidays and made it ours. Fireworks have turned into a universal sign of celebration.
Even in our own community, I look, this is why I brought this up, because I sat in my home, and we know we all three of us are from Baltimore. We all live.
I like it. My nerves. I'm shell-shocked.
We all live deep in the city. And
I don't live in those areas. I'm sorry.
Oh, you bougie bitch.
We all know that fireworks sound just like or almost close to gunshots. And for a city that is prone
we know
to
if it's the 4th, it's not. It probably is a gun mixed in them sound effects. It probably is.
That's what I'm saying. And you never know. So I found myself, I had my front door open at first, and then they started going off. So I closed my door. Because what I found myself happening to me, and I didn't even recognize it until the last time it happened, before I closed the door, that I was consistently jumping every time they went off.
And how old are you? You still jumping?
Don't do that, Nate.
But I didn't realize I was jumping. The interesting part is that I didn't realize I was jumping.
Maybe it is my age.
I did not realize I was jumping until, like I said, until the last time when I got up and closed my door. I didn't realize that I was jumping. Because in my neighborhood in particular, right around the corner, it could be a gunfight.
But see, if I don't hear the little sprinkle thing that after they shoot off, then I'm not turning my lights off. I'm not fucking with it. But I think for me, I think I just never, because I know the difference between a gunshot and a firecracker. And sometimes they can merge a little bit because they're going off at the same fucking time, probably. But I don't have that same fear of it. Maybe because
I didn't have that before this year. I never had that with fireworks until this year. Before this year. I mean, and then on the instance that same day we had the mass shooting in Illinois. All them people got killed at the parade.
You know what? I've had a gun pulled on me 3 times, so I just it don't affect me the same way. I'm sorry, it just I've had a gun pointed at me as a teen, in my 20s, and in my 30s. So it really don't. Guns don't make me jump that way, and and that's a numb feeling, I guess. But it don't make me jump like that because I've seen the gun here before. So it doesn't,
right?
And I've held a gun. So guns don't have the same power over me that I would have had as a child. Yeah. As a child, I was the jumpy one. And we would always go either to the harbor or somewhere, wherever we were on vacation, to go and see the fireworks. But it just, as a grown man, it doesn't have the same effect on me, unfortunately. Because I was going in and out of sleep when they started doing it in my neighborhood. I mean, but the adjacent neighborhoods, because my neighborhood, that shit don't happen. And the adjacent neighborhood. But it doesn't. I was still watching. I was watching P Valley, actually. I was binge watching the whole thing for P Valley. It didn't. Can we talk a little bit about P Valley? I know y'all want to go, but
go ahead. What you got to say?
This season, bitch, is spicy.
Is it?
You thought the first season was spicy?
I started seeing people.
You haven't seen it yet, Monny?
Turned off by it. No, I can't do that weekly episode. I can't do weekly episodic television anymore. I got to wait till they all come out.
Well, baby, they got. I think this episode 5 or 6.
I gotta binge.
I like the
binge.
So y'all,
I like to get all of it. Like I can't be in suspense and waiting. I want to click.
But see, it's
and look at the next one.
But I'm telling you, even last season, each episode it's like eating a whole meal. You gonna be full. Like if you can keep watching, but you be like, no, bitch, I gotta wait till next week. I can't. When I saw y'all have to watch this,
maybe I'll try. Maybe I'm gonna watch. I'll try watching the first 3 because that should. Hours of TV.
In one episode, there was like 2 or 3 full-out fuck scenes.
That's what they say, and that's why he liked it.
And I think that's what people kept saying.
But it's not even that. It's just I like when shit is so wild. Like that's what P Valley was the first thing. It just was off the chain. But I didn't think they could top that.
It give you the real how shit.
But
really
none of it is raunchy or.
Class.
But it's still. Sex scenes don't get me, but when they do them the right way, it's like this some shit right here. But who's fucking who is gonna fuck you up? Who's fucking? I'm gonna just say it like that. Who is gonna fuck you up?
Well, in the reality,
but you don't see it coming. You don't see it coming, so you see it coming. You like this is not about to happen.
I done seen it all living in Baltimore City. The trade is motherfucking real.
No, but see, it's still
not getting bucked is the ones who is.
But it's gonna mess you all the way. I'm just gonna say it's gonna mess you all the way up.
Wow.
They done brought flashbacks and shit. Oh, this is different. So go watch P-Valley, y'all. Just watch the episodes that day. They still got 5 more episodes to go. So just binge watch the first half.
Okay.
Get your mind rocked. And then go and do the binge watch the other 5. I'm just telling y'all, it's out, and they need the ratings because they wasn't gonna bring it back at first.
Oh shit! Okay.
1, because they stole the story from somebody, but 2, because they wasn't gonna bring it back. They didn't bring back any of the other black shows from the last couple seasons.
I know. One of them being the Magic.
Atlanta didn't come back, or
Atlanta's back now. Atlanta's on
now.
Yeah.
Okay, so they brought that back.
I couldn't. It didn't grasp me like it did in the prior season.
This season,
It's not grasping because they're in Europe. Atlanta, they're not even in Atlanta. They're in Europe. Like,
see what we got to do to keep our stuff on TV?
We got to go over there with them.
Chastity,
yeah, they
traveling
thank me
later.
Europe,
it's like going to do some stuff for you. It's going to wait some parts up.
The other show, the magical show.
Which one?
That was on HBO. With the black people.
I don't know what that. Oh yeah, the Green Book.
What was it called?
The Green Book.
Green Book. Why that's not catching me? But I think you are on what I'm talking about, though. I think you talking about. That's
the
not
one where they were
going
through time and
that
was the Green Book.
Okay. And, that was not coming back. So yeah. All right. You know what? That's it. We gotta go. Look, I thank you guys for watching. This is Big Exposed Media.
Yeah.
Big Exposed Media, and you're watching Talk Lately. I am the host, Monny. I want to thank Chastity, or what is it, Chaz?
Empress Lady Mix.
Okay, there it is.
That red-haired chick.
Couser, the host of the Artist Exchange every Friday at 5 p.m. right here on Be Exposed Radio.
You'll see Money in 5 more years. He does a show every 5 years cycles.
That is a lie. He's
back. He's got a new birth of passion for it.
Oh, he did. Well, no, you know what? I take that back. He does it a couple times out of the year because he did.
But no, let me tell you. What did I say in the beginning of the show? That I think this is only going to be about an hour, maybe less, and it turned into 2 hours. We get content.
Yes.
So I'm happy with today's presentation.
That's how we had a guest on here.
And then Chastity is on the station now. She's here to stay. How you doing?
When your show coming out?
And then that's how we end it. Good night. It's coming. You're in production.
I guess I'll see how I saw this show. I just saw a random notification.
That's how we doing it.
He always doing something a little extra for himself.